you've traveled around the country over 70 times.
Yeah, 75 times.
75 times.
Most often I tell people that if you're a starter in life and you want to start a business, the best place to come is the north. Until the lion learn to tell their stories, the hunting the hunting will always glorify the hunter. First time in Damango, okay, and we came to do a wedding event. So there was this lady who was serving us. She comes and then she knows that everything she wants to do, she knows that, in the sounding sector, that is not there.
Strange, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, madam, please, when you come, just no. She said, no, this is culture. Do you know that we have waterfalls in the north here? Asuma, and then the response is Awo. Is it Oshudunsu? Awo. Yeah, and then the those in Upper West will go like, what's the name? Kapo, that's like how's your husband?
Yeah. That's how's your wife?
Wife, yeah, right. How's your wife? When we had to talk about slavery, it all started from the north here before descending to the south. Northerners are one of the most peaceful, most calm people you ever come across.
Welcome to another exciting episode of North Chats with me, Prince Hamdan. Today we have a very special guest here. I don't know how to introduce him. He's a documentary photographer, right? And he goes around documenting beautiful pictures of Ghana. I won't put the trouble on myself to introduce him. I'll let him tell us what he has been up to and what he is doing. Today I have Selorm Sosu with me in the studio. Brother, you're welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
And you're welcome to the North.
Thank you. North is my home.
Amazing. So, this is North Chat.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
From the bit I've read about you said you've traveled around the country over 70 times.
Yeah, 75 times.
75 times.
Right.
Why? Why?
Yeah, it's because one of the things I've come to realize is that you need to know your community very, very well. Like know your place inside out, so that when somebody is asking something about your area, your environment, you can be able to tell the person that when you take 1, 2, 3 steps, you move to the left or you move to the right. These are the landmarks. These are things you see. And this is what makes my community more safe, more interesting. And I'm inviting you to come have a look at my environment.
Let's go back a little bit. Tell us about your background.
So I'm Selorm Sosu Ernest. I'm a Voltarian born in Accra, schooled in the Greater Accra, schooled in I went to the Eastern region, schooled there for my secondary school, then to Takoradi Technical University, then Takoradi Poly to do my HND in communication design. So basically, or simply put, I'm a photographer, graphic designer, and then a videographer.
Photographer, graphic designer, and a videographer.
Right.
We've seen a lot of them, a lot of photographers, videographers, but they are not going around. Why do you go from place to place? I mean, to take pictures, to make videos and all of that. What is the purpose?
All right, so I always tell people that as Africans, we should be able, or the African should be able to tell his story from the African point of view. Now, most of you, when you take your time and you watch, when UN want to do something, they bring a white person who doesn't even know the terrain very well. Not to talk about the language, which then becomes like a language barrier. You understand? So I took it upon myself, and I started getting photographers all over Africa together, so we can even have the Afro Photo Fest. So that's the African Photographers Festival. So every 3 months, we can move from Ghana to Kenya, to Botswana, to Uganda, to Egypt, to Madagascar, and then have like, how do you call it? Festival. So we will be celebrating our own photographers over there. You understand? That was the agenda. That was somewhere 2014 thereabout. And I happened to have all those people from different parts of Africa. And by then I was traveling though, but I realized that we still have to go a step further. I being the team lead, I should be able to even know my country inside out, so that when I'm telling stories about Ghana, I'm telling stories about our tribe and stuff like that, I can be able to know how to pitch those concepts to people who show interest and then come to see. So I remember some time back, those in the Eastern African country, I'm talking about Zimbabwe and then Botswana. I was telling them about how African ladies wear waist beads, like the beads around their waist. And then they were like, oh, our place is the minority tribe. That's the Ingelele.
Okay.
They wear those, they wear the beads. And they see them to be like fetishism, like voodoo kind of thing. And I was like, no. In the western part of Africa, precisely Ghana, that is what shows the beauty of a woman. You understand? And then they were like, how? So they have to put me on their platform for a whole 1 week to explain.
Wow.
And after doing that, I ended up like explaining to them. They got the concept. And then the next thing was, I showed them pictures of beads because I do customized waist beads.
Oh, okay.
So I showed it to them and then they started like ordering for beads.
Wow.
Yeah, so you see, like, I was trying to explain my African concept from a different point of view, and I was doing over there. You see.
So I want to be clear. What is the reason why you set out on that journey to know your region, to know your country, and even to encourage other people to do same? Why did you? Because as I said earlier on, as a photographer, probably you even started like doing other general photography before probably getting into this. Why didn't you like continue? For example, probably wedding photography and other. Why did you want to do what you are doing now?
Well, I just wanted to showcase my country now
Okay.
based on region by region, because there's this sentiment that Voltarians are like this, Northerners are very aggressive. Okay, this tribe is like that, that tribe is like. So I just wanted to tell a story of how each and every tribe is unique. You understand? You know, in the Volta region, we have Gonjas there. In the central regions, we have Gonjas also there. Are you aware of that?
Yeah.
Okay. But most people don't know, about that. You see, so mine is to bring out, like, enlighten people about those areas. And again, to talk about how beautiful Ghana is. And talk of how beautiful Ghana is. Then we talk about how we can link up when it comes to business aspects. You understand? Because you can't just be traveling and then be traveling. So you should be able to, like, put business, like, what's the name? Blend it with business aspects. You understand? Most people, had it not been recently, most people wouldn't have known that Tamale is one of the beautiful places and the developing places to stay and then do business here. You see, so most often I tell people that if you're a starter in life and you want to start a business, the best place to come is the north. Choose any part of the northern region and then come start a business. Farming is one great area that people are now looking into. And then they go like, oh, but the weather. And I tell them, listen, yeah, you say it's the weather, but then look at it this way. Get to a place that there are a lot of trees over there, even though it's a savanna region, but get a place that there are a lot of trees over there. You won't feel that much. Now, classical example, I was in, last year I had my corporate campaign in Drapa, a community known as the Wooling Mushroom Rock. And when we went there, it was around the same time. That was my first corporate campaign. We camped in the belly of the mushroom, in the belly of the rocks. The whole place was extremely hot. It was blazing. My phone, the screen has just like the adhesive has just got off, so the screen was just falling off. But then inside the belly of the rocks, that place was super cool. The breeze we were having was awesome, even though there were no lights over there. Now, what am I trying to say? We need to know our area very well and then take advantage of those places to do some kind of business. Tell our stories from our point of view. When we got there, we were told of how during the slavery era, they come and then hide over there and they can talk, make noise and the rest, and it won't go anywhere. You won't hear the noise extending out. So we're there around midnight, 12, 1, 2. I came out because we were having our bomb night fire, chanting war songs, singing here and there. I came out and the whole place was zero dark or negative zero dark. And I tried to see if I could hear the sound after walking about 5 minutes away and couldn't hear any sound. We had light over there, but you can't see the light because the rocks have showed all those things. And I was like, wow, this was what the community people were telling us. They have hollows that, like, in the rocks, they had hollows that there was water there, that there were two, one here, one there, which the male bathed here, the female also bathed there. So when we got done with that, and I came back to Kumasi, then I think a week or two, someone called me from KNUST that way. She's doing her MPhil and her thesis is around that place. He got there and then there was nobody there to tell her the history, trying to find out so much. I was like, okay, I'm a researcher and those are some of the things I do. What do you want? And we strike a deal. You pay and then I get you all that you wanted. And she paid. I gave her all the information that she wanted and even added more to it. Only to realize that they are trying to build an ecological center or ecological whatever over there. So I was advising her, you are doing architecture. Don't go in for ship containers to do that because it is not sustainable. You understand? But then, of course, you can use the rocks over there because they have lots of rocks over there. And I was telling her some petty things within the community that while she was there, she didn't know who to talk to. So indirectly, that was like a business on its own. If the communities can come together, look for a tour guide, get people to train them, that they can have tents over there and then be camping over there. People will come hear the history of that place and the rest. Because whilst we were there, most of the things they told us, okay, we heard. I realized at night, during the daytime, I experienced all those things and it was beautiful. Now, one other thing before I forget, the city life is stressful. I can keep mentioning names upon names upon names. Ex-presidents, prominent figures like BBC icon and stuff like that who pass away, and all has to do with the fact that they were not managing their stress very well. And those were some of the things that caused their death. So if you are able to explore your region, you leave the four corners of this your building and then you go out to the unknown, you're able to discover, you are able to de-stress more. And at the end of the day, you add about 2 years lifespan to your days on earth.
So you talk about how a lot of people think some group of people, some ethnic group of people are. Do you think it's because we don't really, explore, we don't try to know about other places? For example, you now know a lot of places. Probably the perception or the things you might have heard about those places would change because of the fact that you yourself went to the place and you got to know the place. Do you think that as a people, we don't explore? We are comfortable at where we find ourselves?
Yes. We are very, very comfortable at our small, little things we have. But then again, when you move out of our comfort zone, move out of, like, we think outside the box, there's a lot that we can do to help save Mother Ghana and to also help promote Mother Ghana. As the saying goes, Ghana is the gateway to Africa. I don't know whether you've taken your time to understand that. Now, it simply means that Ghana happens to be the open door, right? When it comes to slavery aspects, there are about 64 dotted castles along the coast of Ghana alone. And I think there are about 70 or 80 of them. But Ghana happens to have more of those ones. You understand? So most people we are receiving, most expats who comes into the country only settles in Cape Coast and the other regions. But my job is to also enlighten people that Ghana is not only Cape Coast. Ghana is not only Accra. But then again, when we have to talk about slavery, we have to talk about shea butter, we talk about a lot of commodities. It all starts from the north here before move down to the south. So I have people that, like, in between times, I send them shea butter in large quantity. The question is, those of us in the north here, how well are we preserving our shea butter? How well do we even cherish our shea butter? The answer is no, we are not cherishing it. We are only interested in using the white person's pomade or the Western world creams to enhance ourselves so we look beautiful. But then the shea butter has a lot of potential. Most of the creams we use our body has the base from the shea butter. And then again, it also helps you to also understand every tribe with its do's and don'ts. When you know that, this is my friend and he's a Muslim, right? And if I'm to come to his room, I need to respect that this is where he prays. I don't have to bring my footwear. I have to be holy, and then before I step in those places, you are not stepping on the person's toe. At the end of the day, he's a Muslim, you're a Christian, or you're a non-Christian or whatever. But because you respect the person's rules and regulations, you live in that harmonious manner, and nobody will hear of you. Those are some of the things I talk about on my expedition.
You've been to every place,
yes,
right, in Ghana.
Yeah, I've done that. That was when it was 10 regions. I've done the 10 regions. Now it's 16. I've done the 16.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. How often did you, or do you go to these places? What was the time frame? Was it between a year, between 2 years, or it was like a long period that you used to go rotate around these places?
Okay, so when it comes to the traveling aspect, I just move. So let's say in a month, I spend a week in my house, in my room. Okay, and then the remaining 3 weeks in the month, I'm on the road.
Wow.
So I come here, and one thing is this: I come here, I spend some time over here, and when I'm done, like 2-3 days, I get my information, I get my pictures, and then I start writing. So whilst I'm on the bus moving to the next destination, I'm writing about that community. Okay, so I get to a different place, spend like 3-4 days over there, get to know more interesting stuff and the rest, and just move on. I was telling somebody at the Mole National Park, and I was telling some Northerners that, do you know that we have waterfalls in the north here? And then the person was like, waterfalls? I don't think so. And I was like, really? We have, I think, about 2 waterfalls in the north here, like in Savannah, Tamale. Okay. Savannah in the northern region. And then the person was like, well, you don't mean it. I said, yes. One is within the Mole Park. I was like, really? I said, yes. He was like, how? And I said, yes, there's Paria waterfalls there. It's just that it's not yet open to the community. And some of these people are coming from the northern sector. I'm talking about like the Tamale and its environs. You understand? But that is again to say that they've not actually explored their environment.
Let me ask you, do you think we are not really preserving our tourist attractions? We are not presenting them in a manner that, because just imagine, these are Northerners who don't even know about like things that are found in their region. Do you think that we are not promoting enough for people to? And one concern a lot of people had was with this year of return. A lot of them, just as you said, stationed in Accra and Cape Coast, and that was it. But the story goes beyond that. The slaves came from somewhere, but all of these things are missing along the line. So do you think that we are not like promoting our culture and tradition very well, so that it will be able to attract people to, come and listen or come and visit, the North, to hear, the stories of the slave trade and other stories that are,
I think on a scale of 1 to 5, I'll give ourselves 2 or 1, or maybe 1.5. Okay, simply because we are not doing so much. Even though we are doing, but we are not doing so much. Okay, I had a chance to go to Paga, precisely at Nania Picoro slave camp. And I heard a story about Samuro Babato, and then the third person, I'll try and remember the name. Then again, I went to Bulenge or Bulenga. I don't know how the name is being pronounced.
Bulenge.
Yeah, Bulenge. That is Upper West, precisely. I think Wild West or this is downwards.
So, around the Fancy area.
Good, yes. And they had lots of like rocks, caves over there. Then again, I was also told that the slave raiders, they come as far as that side, and then they hide in the rocks. I was like, oh, wow. And Bulenge has little information. When you Google, there's only 2 places in Africa where you find Bulenge. That's Uganda and Wa side. Wow. You see, but then there's little write-ups about those areas, which we're still putting up articles and the rest. Then my journey again took me to Yendi, where one of the slave raiders was buried. I think that's Babatu was buried. and I met his great grand son.
Son, yeah.
Yes, and he was telling me about the stories and the rest, and I was like, oh wow.
I'm actually doing some work around those.
Oh wow,
some
that's
stories
nice.
around.
That's
Yeah.
nice. And then again, I realized we had a German cemeteries there, which is still like it's left in that deplorable state. Those are like money making ventures for us as Africans. Let's tell our stories because there's a saying that goes this way: until the lion learn to tell their stories, the hunting or the hunting will always glorify the hunter. That is to say that if we learn to write our histories, preserve our histories, giving down from generation to generation, we the people that we had we were affected, we can be able to tell our stories very well. So it's not always that the hunting will always glorify the hunter. You understand? It's not always that the hunting will always glorify the hunter. But then, of course, we have our history there. We can talk about it very well. I was listening to Vusi, who happens to be a motivational speaker in South Africa. And he was telling me that he was saying that America is the youngest nation or continent, or whatever you want to put it, in the world. But what America has done is that it has documented most of the things. So this banking thing we all hear of and the rest is something they've worked on. But then again, Africa was there before America was discovered. What is happening to Africa? We are still behind time. We claim we have 66 years. What have we achieved so far? Just greed, lootering things into ourselves. We are not thinking about how we can save the nation for our next 2-3 generations. You get me? Now, the North, for instance, the northern sector, when it comes to slavery, most of the slavery activities took place up in the north here, then moved down to the south. But what happens? Because we are not telling our histories, so it looks like Ghana is Cape Coast, Accra, and if possible, Kumasi, and that's it. But then again, I wrote an article about the Gonjas. Okay, precisely Bupe and stuff like that. How we had the name Bupe. I'm tired. I can't move. I have to rest. And then we have the it was then Bupe, but then changed to Bupe and the rest. And I was like, oh wow, we have a lot of like great history. That Bupe bridge, to me, when I get to the Bupe side, the bridge there, I see it as an iconic place, which needs its story to be aired out. You understand? When you go to Yendi, again, that is where the Greenwich Meridian passes. What have we done so far about those places? Nothing.
Actually, the place is an open place that
it's deserted. You see, it talks about the king's wife, some kind of stories here and there.
That's the baobab tree.
Good, which we need to preserve. And then talk about the baobab tree. The baobab tree itself is a whole resource.
That tree is called Nadata Tua.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but then I'm talking about the baobab tree itself.
I forgot the name.
Yeah, myself, I've forgotten the name. I have one of my guards there who normally remind me about the name.
But then you're talking about the baobab tree itself.
Yeah, the baobab tree is a whole cash crop for us. The leaves, the tree itself, the fruits, whatever. But what have you been able to do out of it? Nothing. We are just allowing all those things to go down the drain. We need to like get some of these things back. I was talking to somebody about the fact that in the northern sector, okay, it's just 20% of our land that has been that is being used. The remaining 80% is left idle. Nothing is done about it. When you fly into the country, you understand what I mean. And I kind of ask myself that, and do we talk about the fact that it's only one raining season that we have? But if you know the amount of gallons of rain that is going waste, you will then appreciate the fact that we need to have a reservoir. And talk of reservoir, we know, as we the locals, we know where when it rains, it gathers at a point. we can dig down, like use the excavator and the rest, have like a large irrigation system here, which at the end of the day, we can have like a whole year round farming here. So we don't have to even depend on the rain because we have the land already. You understand? Ministers, the government officials and the rest, they can come in to help. And I'm telling you, they won't regret it. But they are only keeping money to themselves for the next 3 elections, next 5 elections, which doesn't make sense.
Do you think politics have failed us as a people? Because definitely most of these things are initiatives that should be started or should be picked up by governments to, make some of these things happen. Because at the end of the day, if we have a seasonal farming in the north, it helps the economy.
Right.
You get it?
Right. I wouldn't say politics has failed us, but what I would say is that we have failed ourselves because before we become politicians, we were first individual. You understand? Then when we get into politics, then we become more selfish. You understand? So I think we have rather failed ourselves because now the thing is, when you are in politics and then you finish your term of office as a politician, you come back to the square one. And then you realize that you've made a big fool out of yourself. You didn't at least do anything for your area. You understand?
Okay.
But then, of course, I think we should also hold all these people to
account.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you've been in the north, like several parts of the north. Well, what is one thing that you see that makes you feel that I'm in the north?
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Because remember earlier you were talking about the fact that, every people are unique in a certain way.
Right.
You know, so what is that one thing that when you come to the north, it makes you feel that, yes, I'm in the north?
All right, let me take it from this point.
Okay.
I remember my first time in Damango. Okay, and we came to do a wedding event. So there was this lady who was serving us. She comes and then she knows that everything she wants to do, she knows that, in the southern sector, that is not there.
Strange, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, madam, please, when you come, just she said, no, this is culture. This
is our tradition.
Yes, this is our tradition. I was like, oh, really?
Yes.
And, that impression has still kept me coming to the north just to see someone coming to give me something, like quote unquote nobody, and then the person wants to give you something and wants to give you that due respect by kneeling down, giving you that. That is to say that one alone makes the northern sector one unique place to be. And I think if we still keep that sanity as far as the culture is concerned, it will help us more. There's one lady in Ghana, she's Black American. She's been in the North, I think, since 2019 or 2020. She goes by the name ES. Her channel used to be Eat, Love, Migrate, but now it's DIY. That's Do It Yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's in Tamale doing so much in the northern sector here. And I actually admire this person because we always say the northern sector is hot, the temperature is this. But this is an American who has enjoyed the cold and the rest and who prefer to be in the southern side, just jump in a swimming pool or just go and swim in the ocean, but is here. Simply because the southern part, we have lost our cultural heritage. We've now adopted most of the whites or the European way of living. But the northern part of Ghana, right, still hold in high esteem the sacred culture, and that is and then tradition, and that is what is holding the north still intact. Yes.
Let's. Can you mention some of the places you've been to in the north, like some of the notable places you've gone around in the north?
Well, there are a lot, but I'll still mention some few.
Yeah.
So, Daboya, Bulenge.
Okay, so let's do it like this. Just mention a few, and then the stories you got behind those communities.
Okay. So, Daboya happens to be the home of Smoke. What's the name? Bulenge. Bulenge, I see that place as the the warriors and refusing slave trade. Okay, then when we go to what's the name, Busunu. Busunu, the last time I posted that they are warriors, I was called to order. And I have to be careful when I'm talking about Busunu. Busunu, I know, has to do with chieftaincy, like they are royals, let me put it that way, so that I'll save myself more. Yeah, but then when you get there, you realize a lot of history talks about how brave they are. Okay, looking at the architectural and of course the what's the name, like the come to mind.
I'm sure it will come back to your mind. So
So then we go to Yendi Bimbila. Okay, I have to combine the two areas because Yendi Bimbila is noted for being Bimbila is noted for being warriors. Per my information I got, even though it has a lot of like conflicts, good whatever, and Yendi happens to be the Greenwich Meridian. Then the official seats,
the traditional capital,
the traditional seats.
Of the Dagombes.
Of the Dagombes, right? Yes, because that's where the overlord sits and rule. And then rule. Then when we go to Paga, Paga is noted for the slave, the crocodiles. The Nanya is noted for the slave site. So as to what's the name? Come to mind. Salaga, the markets there. Apart from Salaga, too, there's another market too. I've forgotten the name. I'll surely remember. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There are still a lot of places. Sola, for instance, per my understanding, is noted for the market activities that goes on there. There are some Laura. Laura, when I was there, that was 2020. Also, I noted that they are also warriors because when you look at the architecture of the palace, okay, it has this round thing like human head, like in a shape of a done with clay. Apparently, the story is being told about during those times they use bow and arrow to fight. So when the enemy sees that, the enemy feels that that's a human head trying to peep, and then they shoot at it. They shoot the arrow. And then the guards in the palace knows the direction at which the arrow is coming from. So they shoot like 3, 4, 5 towards that direction. And then the person over there automatically is being killed. You understand? And there are, what's the name? The lobbies are also unique people. And I stand to be corrected, this one, because it's a hidden secret. Okay. I'm trying to hold myself, but it still wants to come. So when you go into the deep, the lobbies, currently there are some lobbies who even wear leaves, okay, and even wear like dresses on it because they still want to keep their culture or whatever. Yes.
What do you think about the northern, the local architecture that the mud houses and all of that? Because I think now we have, modernization has, taken away that kind of, experience or those kinds of buildings. What do you think, like, those kinds of things can bring to the people?
The northern sector and then the architectural building and we shifting away to the bricks or the block houses is what is disturbing us. It's what is disturbing us. Now, the clay buildings we have, they allow air to penetrate, so it breathes, it's permeable. But then the cement block houses we have is not permeable. So when you live in these mud houses, you again realize that you enter some of this building, it's very cool. You see, and you feel like you are in an AC room with the touch on it to crown it all. But what do we see now? We see the block houses, which you have to buy an AC to make the inside cool. You are trying to depict the white, which shouldn't be. And for me, if I could get like 2, 3, 5 acres of land in the wild somewhere, those are the kind of buildings I'll erect there. Just come and then have a feel of the proper northern terrain that nobody tells you about.
Wow.
With our unique designs, the the white, black, and brown color decoration added to it, it gives you a feel of perfect north. Again, I wrote an article which is on Our magazine, which we were talking about the architectural system. Then I think it's from Tamale going to Karaminga. I think from Wale Wale to it also starts with WAL something. I've forgotten.
Woolensey.
I think Woolensey. Okay. On your left hand side, there's a story building there. I call it the 26 or 36 story building. That is when you're outside, it sees that like a 3-story building. But when you're inside, it's a lot of rooms in it, which was built by one imam from is it Burkina or Mali also, and he was reciting the Quran to build that place. That is one place that most people don't know of. And the architectural system there, it's very unique. Now, when we go to Navrongo, where we have the Basilica, it's 100 years plus. And that's the Catholic church over there in Navrongo.
Is it in Navrongo?
Yes, it's in Navrongo.
Okay.
The Navrongo church, the Catholic church.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And you realize that we have a lot of items that we, the Northerners, are taking for granted.
Yeah.
You see, and they have a museum over there. So after visiting the Basilica, they have a museum attached to it, and it gives you a feel of the Kasim tribe, the Nankana tribe, also how they have their setup and the rest. In the northern, in Tamale and its environments or its environs here, they are there, but they are in the far hidden places where the father have his room, the kids have their room, the animals have their. How am I hitting this? The animals have their room. And the rest, and it gives you a feeling of togetherness. You understand? You move 3, 4, 5 minutes away, there's another community also there, and they all live in nice harmony. These are some of the things we need to bring back. But I also understand that urbanization is helping us shift away from certain things. But then, of course, I tell people that the fact that you are building block houses doesn't mean it's development or it's developing. You can still live in your mud houses. Now, there's a modernized way of doing the mud houses. We call it the ram earth technology, which we do the ramming, still using the earth. Okay, and it's nice to enjoy that ambience.
And I think it's actually because of the relevance and importance of that technology,
right,
or that architectural style.
Right.
That is why people are reinventing it in a modern style.
Yes.
If you go to Kenya and other places, you get resorts putting up such buildings, and because of the value of it. Just as we are talking about it, it's more cooler than these houses that we live in now.
That's true.
So it tells you that our great grandfathers had a lot of foresight and were very brilliant with some of these things.
The architectural system we talk about, that the white brought it. It's not the white who brought it. We had our own things, and then the white man came to learn and also improve on it. We could have also improved on our this thing. The same Navrongo that I'm talking about, there's this kind of unique stone rocks that they use in building. It looks like this small round and then put together in that manner with the earth around it. They cut it very nicely as bricks or blocks and then use that in building. There are a lot of them around here, you see. And if we are able to take advantage of some of these things to put up our structures, I can tell you that some of these things we don't need the ACs any longer because we are rather indirectly killing ourselves. When we talk about technology, this is the only thing. The difference between us here and then the people in the rural community is the mobile phone. Nothing else is the mobile phone.
Wow. So you've been in the North a couple of times. Let's get a bit. What has been your which place has been your favorite place in the northern part? Which area has been your favorite place? Yeah, you can be biased. Don't worry. Yeah.
Well, I have a lot because I'm an adventurous person, or I'm an adventurous photographer. So I prefer places which are a little remote. Recently, I was in. Is it is it Dalang or
Dalang.
Dalang?
Yeah.
Yes, I got there. I was like, wow. Even though it looks deserted, it looks whatever how you put it, but I saw beauty over there. Those places were unique, and I was telling them that I'll come back again, spend more time over there. Most of the places that in the northern sector, it's rather unfortunate. I can't mention here, but then
That's
it depends on some few things. I've been to Mole a couple of times, but on the way going to Mole, somebody will say that mango is there. Now they've cut most of the trees down, so the place looks super hot. Laribanga is west because now there are no trees over there. But when you enter the Damango, the Mole community, because I've come there a couple of times. You enter the Mole community and you realize that is a unique place to spend some time because of the cool. Even though we are in the savannah, like the weather is super hot, but then you get some of those places and then you camp over there. It gives you the cool, peaceful environment.
Let's talk about your favorite northern food.
My favorite northern food, Tumbani is there, and TZ is there.
Okay.
Yes. I think Tumbani and TZ. Yes.
Okay.
And then the yam fufu.
Okay.
Yes. The yam,
okay.
For the yam fufu, when I'm in, what's the name of this town? It used to be part of the northern Volta, but now they said they are now Oti region. Pandai, Chengari, those areas. That's why I enjoy my northern fufu so much. Yes.
Let's talk about how you are able to do these things. It's quite expensive. Like if you want to travel around and almost all the time, how are you able to fund these trips and go about doing your what you are doing?
Yeah, I tell people, for me, I travel,
and that's the excuse a lot of people give for not exploring.
Yeah, I tell people I travel cashless. I travel not like there are a lot of business opportunities around. All that I need is my groceries that will sustain me for like 2-3 days because I have my house, my store, my self-contained is in my backpack already. You understand? The most important thing is I get a cooler place to just pitch my tent. So I get here, I look at various opportunities over here. Then I turn on my location, I put it there, tell the international world that I'm in this area. And for those of you who need anything within that community, this area has a high number of this, and that. So if you want anything from that region, just hit me up within this split of time.
Do you think the North could have been the best place, when people want to escape the busy and, stressful city life, to see some, serene environment, some nature, some beautiful, artifacts?
Okay, so let me answer this question from this point of view. So last year we launched the Northern Corporate Campaign, which is to say that we were trying to make people, not only those in the corporate world, but everybody to understand that the northern sector is one beautiful place that we have to also have the time to take into consideration the fact that we need to move out of our comfort zone and explore other areas. So that mindset gave birth to Northern Corporate Campaign. And last year we were in Jurapa side to do our campaign. This year, we have our campaign at the Mole National Park, which is to say that Northern region is the perfect place to escape the busy, stressful city life. I, for instance, when I'm in the city, one of the things I hate is ping, ping, pong, pong, hey. I hate the noise. So when I move to places like this and I pitch my tent, I'm there, I have my small groceries, I'm cooking, have my music playing, and I'm talking to people, like the community folks, they come sit around, especially in the evening. We have some little bonfire, we have our sage, and then we are just having our conversation, telling stories, and it gives me that peace of mind. And I tell myself, this is what I want.
How has your experience with the people been, the rural people, the people of the North in general? How has your experience with them been?
So far, so good. It's been very, very awesome. People say Northerners are very rude. they are aggressive, they are this, they are that. But in my own way, I realize they are not. Northerners are one of the most peaceful, most calm people you ever come across. And that is how come I think most of the things I do, because I've adopted Damango, for instance, as my place. And anytime I have most of my friends from the northern sector, from the Western world, who wants to support, donate anything, I always channel them to Damango. I'm sorry I'm being biased because that is where I thought I got a connection from. Now it looks like I'm being adopted again by the Dagatis or the Dagaos. Okay, so it looks like I might be doing that. But it's Tamale. Anytime I come, if I don't end up in Tamale, then I don't know. Like I go round, I don't end up in Tamale.
Okay.
So I'm just waiting for I want to mention the Tamale tribe.
The Dagombes.
The Dagombes to also adopt me. When they adopt me, then I know for the northern terrain I'm secured.
Yes. Living. Anytime you are going back, what is that one thing you take along with you?
I won't say one thing.
Okay.
There are a couple of them.
Okay.
So shea butter is my number one priority.
Okay.
And then I confirm, or the guinea fowl is the second one. Yes, okay. And not to talk about the hats, the straw hats. Yes. Okay. I was also talking about the straw community in that's upper Bolga side. I want to start with SA.
SA.
I remember the name.
Okay.
Where they do they weave the
artifacts,
the baskets and the rest. That's another perfect place and another perfect area to always encourage people that when you're in the north and then you are going back, just have a little, just have the northern basket and then gather some few artifacts from the north and then send it to the south, and you won't regret it, because that basket, before it will tear, it takes a very, very long time. But the rubber bags that we buy, within some few seconds, is torn. So that is to say that we as blacks, we are more technologically, and then we are as far as the invention is concerned, we are rated high, okay, and we need to purchase or buy our products more, so that it will also help the locals to know that they are doing a very good job. And that is why anytime I have my expats leaving the country, I say take a piece of Ghana along with you to the Western world.
What do you think we should do? What do you think if we do would help us to maximize all these potentials you are talking about?
Okay, so then I have a foundation known as Ecolom. That's the ecological foundation. So it does talks about sustainability and the rest. So I get to places and I see, as far as the business is concerned, I see a lot of potentials, things that we can do to sustain the community, right? And talk of things that we can do to sustain the community. I look at these places and go like, okay, we could do A, B, C. We can repackage it a little bit, rebrand it a little bit. And this are like your cash crops or your cash, your money venture side, which we have to look at. And then we really think about those places very well. Talk of the shea butter, for instance. Shea butter is being exported out of the country and it's very, very expensive. You get me? But then the question is, do we even know? All that we do is we only sell the nut outside because we feel the nut is what is better. But if you are to get the butter rather, and then we are to export that, it's a big do. It's a very super big deal, because you get a small share butter like this and it's like $10. So you can just imagine if they're selling that as $10 in the States and we are buying it like big like this as 5 cedis, then you should understand that we have a lot of values.
Value in
yes,
it.
Africa is like the commodity, okay? But we need to understand that, yes, we have the land, we can do ABC. We have the coastal part, which has its own potentials. We have the middle belt, that's the tropical rainforest or the rainforest. Then we have the savanna land. The savanna land also has its own unique things. Okay, I was giving example of the shea butter, which I've used the shea butter countless times. Now the straw, which is now used as the basket. We have the cola, right? It could be either the bitter cola or the whatever cola, which again I'm made to understand that it's being used for cola, the Coca-Cola or something. I need to get to understand it very well, which is true. We have the millet, which does very well also here. And then the rice is another great thing that we also have here. So that is to say that, yes, northern sector, we have a lot of things. And if we put these things, like we position ourselves where the structures are put in place. If I'm talking about the structures, I'm not talking about the government structures or whatever. But if we are to put our own structures in place, like you have a farm, someone has a farm, we team up, we have like a community farm, then we look for a buyer who will be supplying to like every month, every year, and the rest. At the end of the day, we'll be making good progress.
What are your last words? What would you like to tell the people of the North? And the people of Ghana in general?
Well, I think what I would say is that North, it's where, when it comes to migration, African history, the Black community, the Black African and the rest, and the Black African Month or the Black History Month, it all starts from the North before it descended to the southern part. When we are to talk about slavery, it all started from the North here before descending to the South. Now, that is to my fellow diasporans, right? Now, for my fellow Ghanaians, I will also say that it's always best to explore your environment. So we are in the month of February, but I won't say that just limit yourself. We are in the month of March, which happens to be the Heritage Month. But I will also say don't also limit yourself to the month of March, because from January to December, you should at least, if not at all, visit the northern terrain at least 3 to 5 times, so you can be able to understand the northern terrain very well. And also, not just come and visit and go, but connect with somebody here, get at least a land here to start your farming project or a business running here. And before you could say, Jack, you've moved all your family from the south and you're already in the north here.
What do you have to tell the people of the north themselves?
Well, I have a whole lot. I don't know if I should take my time
to summarize it for us.
To say that. Well, for the north, I think we have to put our priorities right. Okay, I was in Fuo some time back, and I realized certain things over there. So I was looking at how best we could take advantage of the sanitation to create fund to clean the environment, and also set up a rubber, a recycle factory over there. Okay, and to say no to my fellow North is beautiful. This is our home. This is the home of the warriors, okay? And this is the home of the brave people. So we shouldn't desist or move away from the North and then stay in the South. But then again, let's keep our culture still intact. Let's still tell others, let's tell others about our area, so we can also bring people to the North here to come visit. I know we have the smoke festival that's been going on. We can also have like the Akonfirm or the Guinea Fowl festival. We can again have the straw festival, like the straw basket festival. Again, we can also have the Baobab storytelling, where we tell stories about how we came to being, how this, how that, and we've been able to preserve our culture, our history to date. But we have to do it so it to be an international festival, so we can get people to be trooping in to visit.
Wow, amazing. What you are a Voltarian, but you've also experienced the North. What are the similarities you find in the North and the Volta part of Ghana?
Well, for the similar things, I think it has to do with the language. Because at times when I'm in a car, like in the northern terrain here, and then someone is speaking any of the northern dialect, I pick ever in
Some
it. Yeah, some
ever
of
in
the
it.
ever is in it. And I'm
Okay.
go like,
Is he
that
speaking?
is that my tribe mate? Because I remember the last time I was going to Mole, someone was speaking, and I was like,
You wanted to
is she a Votarian? He said so. We the Nordness and then the Evers, we have a lot of unique things, especially when it comes to respect, when it comes to cultural heritage, when it comes to a whole lot, we have a lot in common. And when there's our forefathers were taken into captivity, most of them were brought to the Volta region, precisely Jita. And Jita is a community which is about I think 2 or 3 miles away from Keta, and which where the slaves were kept. Our forefathers were kept. Sorry for using the word slave. Our forefathers were kept. And till date, there are some of them who are there, but because of like birth and the rest, so they are half. You could have like the Ever name, and then they still have some of the Northern name also fused in.
By this, don't you think that, I mean, as a people, we are very much close and related than we think as Ghanaians?
I won't say we are very much close, but we are all one people. We are all one people. It's just some leaders will bring in ethnic conflict and the rest to help us fight ourselves. But at the end of the day, we are all one people. We have the same blood flowing in us. It's just that the dialect which is a little bit different. But when you cross, I know here, like some of the languages in the north is just like the Fanti, the Akuapem Chi, and then the Akan Chi and the rest. It's just the same when the Dagati person speaks or a Wale person speaks. You can be able to understand very well, but it's just a twist of the tongue or the
little bit,
good, yes. So we are all one people.
Tell me the northern languages you've picked so far.
Oh.
Just which of them?
So
is it the Dagari? Is it the Wali? Is it the Banli? Which one? Gonja? Which one have you picked?
So I picked the Gonja more.
Okay, so what can
I think. Okay, let me just say some of the words that I know, because I tend to confuse myself. I think Gonjas will say Asuma, and then the response is Awo. I think Oshudunsu, Awo. Yeah, and then the those in Upper West will go like what's the name? Kapo. That's like how's your husband?
Yeah. That's how's your wife?
Wife, yeah, right. How's your wife? And
just as we were saying earlier, for example, the people of Upper West say Ansuma.
Ansuma, yeah.
The Gonjas say Anshuma.
You
see how it is related.
Yeah. So,
but the people of Upper West say yeah. So you see that like it's almost similar.
So, yes.
Yes. So basically, I think.
And then the Kasim also will say what? Hey, if I don't say this and then this lady meets me,
they'll kill you.
Oh my! Well, I remember I say it, but if I don't know used to say it, all my Kasim friends, please forgive me, including the father in Navrongo, Father Felix, please forgive me for that. Yeah. So basically, like I pick some of the languages pertaining to what I do, like Kruma, Krumfu, that's snap me, let me take your picture. That's the Gonja side. Okay. And then I think Tamale, I've forgotten, I'll still remember.
Okay.
Yeah. And what basically I do is when I get to a particular area, I quickly adopt and adjust to the situation, and I'm able to like pick up some few things very fast. Yeah.
Amazing. It's been a wonderful conversation, and I would like to encourage you to keep doing what you are doing. And sometimes I get fascinated by people like you, and we are also following you small.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming through the show, and probably I'm sure we would definitely have more conversations some other time when you come back.
Right.
And thanks so much for watching. If you are watching, kindly make sure you subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Facebook as well, and basically that's what we are doing here. We are here to tell the Northern stories, just as he said. It's our responsibility to tell the stories. I would like to say thank you to J Home Furnitures for supporting the show every time. And if you also want to sponsor or support us in any way, you can call the numbers on your screens and you will get in touch with us. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next episode. We are.